Hello and welcome to Rathods IAS. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 26 February 2024. So we are going to take Delhi edition of Hindu and we are focusing on the important articles which are relevant from our examination point of view. So there will be around 7 to 8 articles every day which are relevant from our examination point of view. So no need of reading each and every article in newspaper. So many students are asking me question like how can I pick up the articles? So to pick up the articles, to know which article is relevant from our examination point of view, so we have a guide. That guide is nothing but our syllabus. So if you have thorough knowledge and if you have by hearted the syllabus, then you can easily helpful. So that will be very much helpful to pick out the articles and you will be in a position to select which articles are important from our examination point of view. And if you go through your previous questions, then you will be understanding like how the questions will be asked in UPSC. Okay, so these are the two important things that you have to remember before reading your newspaper. So without wasting any time, let us see the front page of Hindu. And there is one important article which is relevant from our examination point of view. That is poverty levels below 5% claims Niti Aayog chief. So here this article is talking about household consumption expenditure survey. So even in yesterday's class also we discussed this topic and there are some dimensions that you have to see. So let us see those dimensions first. Okay, so let us see those dimensions first. So now this article is talking about household consumption. It's talking about household consumption expenditure survey. So here you have to know like which is the organization releasing this data and you have to see some highlights of data, and after seeing this data you have to understand what is the significance. Okay, significance from general point of view, and you have to see like significance from policy makers point of view, and you have to see like what is this survey is about. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 under economy. So how can you use this article? So whenever you are writing any mains answer, either in introduction or to substantiate your argument, so this data will be very useful and you can quote about this household consumption expenditure survey in your mains answer. So already in yesterday's class we discussed almost all the points, and again in this today's class we are going to see some key highlights. Okay, so let us go back to our page. Right, so now let us see the today's quote. So I am here to motivate you students. Yes, today's quote, it is regarding UPSC itself. Success in UPSC is sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So you have to make always efforts. So efforts are very, very important. So if you are making even a small efforts repeatedly, they will be very much helpful in your preparation. And that small efforts, if you are doing daily, day in and as well as day out, yes, that will become the key for your success. So you have to think like, so what are the efforts that you are keeping? So try to keep them every day and try to maintain consistency and as well as perseverance. It is very, very important. Okay. Yes, now let us see the first article. So here the context says that less than 5% of Indians, they are now expected to be below poverty line. So below poverty line, so how many Indians were there? That is less than 5%. So this is the thing which mainly said by this household consumption expenditure survey. So urban-rural consumption divide, which is also had been decreased to 71%. But in 2004 to 2005, it was like 91%. In 2022 to 2023, it has been decreased to 71%. percentage. And even this rural household spending on this food also dropped below 50% of total expenditure for the first time. And there is also lower spending is seen on pulses, on cereals, etc. And even there is 5% of decreasing of per capita consumer expenditure regarding these pulses and cereals. So rather than people who are spending on food, they started expending or they have started spending their money in getting some higher expenditures on these conveyances, on this consumer durables, consumer service, etc. So whenever they are focusing on other things, then we can understand like, so the earnings of these people, they are more and they helps to spend lesser share in their income on food. And achievement is, it is not the consumption levels of the food are going down in absolute terms, but here the relative spending on this food is declining and the consumption of products like TV sets, fridges, mobile phones, cars, they had been increased day by day. And even we can also understand that there is changing in the lifestyle is also happening day by day. And even they started consuming beverages, processed food, milk, fruits, etc. They had been gone up. So in this way here we are focusing on balanced food consumption. So these are some important highlights of this data. Okay. And now let us go back to our paper. So this is front page. So there is only one article which is important. So in this states page, yes, you got important articles. So we are going to see that. So here you can see one article. It says that introduce Ayushman Bharat plan in capital. LG urges Kejriwal. So what is the keyword here? The keyword here is Ayushman Bharat. Right? So Ayushman Bharat. So now let us see this topic in detail. So this article is talking about Ayushman Bharat scheme. So this article is important from GS paper 2 point of view from governance. From governance point of view, this article is important. So you have to see some important features of this Ayushman Bharat scheme and you have to see what is the need of this scheme and what is the significance. And even you can connect like what is the outcome of this scheme, whether it is useful or not. And even you have to understand what is the eligibility criteria. You have to see like what is this eligibility criteria. Okay, and you have to see like what are the advantages of this scheme. So whenever you are seeing any scheme in news, you have to see under which ministry it will comes under and you have to see which type of scheme it is, like whether it is central sector or centrally sponsored scheme. So you can get both prelims and mains related questions from these schemes for sure. So every year 1 or 2 questions from your schemes in your prelims and you will be getting like around 20 to 30 marks from your schemes in your mains. Okay. So this topic is at most important from your GS paper 2 under governance point of view. Clear? So now let us move back. And here in brief, in this page, you can see one article that is Vishakhapatnam's floating sea bridge open to public. So what is the keyword? Keyword here is floating sea bridge. Okay, keyword is floating sea bridge. So now let us see some important dimensions that you have to know. So it is talking about floating sea bridge. Okay, so if you are preparing for other state competitive examinations, you have to see like in which state and in which area we have this. So area or location, geographical location is very important. And you have to see like what is this floating sea bridge and what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of this floating sea bridge? So this article is important from GS paper 3 under economy. So under economy we will be studying about this topic chapter called as infrastructure. So from this infrastructure point of view, so this article is very important. And even from your geography point of view also this article is important, okay, from GS paper 1. And especially this floating sea bridge, it is available every day but on high tides and low tides. But on high tides and low tides, yes, we are not going to have this floating bridge. So what is a tide? Tide is nothing but rise and fall. Okay, tide is nothing but rise and fall of water level in sea. So what is the cause of this tides? So tides are caused because of this gravitational pull. It caused because of this gravitational pull of moon and as well as sun. So from this article point of view, you can focus on this topic called as tides. Like what is this tides? And different types of tides, classification of tides, and what is the significance of these tides. Okay, so these are very, very important from your GS paper 1 under geography. Okay, now let us move back and let us see this article in detail. So if you see context, it says that the floating sea bridge is inaugurated near Kursura Submarine Museum along Beach Road in Visakhapatnam. In Visakhapatnam, we have this floating sea bridge. So up to 15 people, they will be allowed at a time on the bridge, and they should wear life jackets to enter into this. And swimmers and 2 boats, they will be present on either side of the bridge to ensure user safety, and this will be open to the public daily from 8 AM to 6 PM. And they will be not available on this full moon and new moon day where we can see like high tides and low tides. So what is this floating bridge concept? So this floating bridge, it is a bridge that uses the natural buoyancy of water to support life and as well as dead loads. So they can be economical and also they can be like a practical way to cross water obstacles, and especially in emergencies we can use this floating bridge. There are some advantages of using of this floating bridge. For example, they do not require any conventional piers or foundations. So they do not require any conventional piers or foundations, and they can support live and dead loads. Okay, they can support live and dead loads, and they can be an economical and practical alternative. Okay, they can be an economical and practical alternative for crossing of waterborne obstacles. And even though there are some disadvantages of these floating bridges, like they can be susceptible to damage from weather events and as well as shipping. Okay, they are susceptible to damage from weather events and shipping, and they can have a high cost of maintenance. Okay, even they have very high cost of maintenance. So these are some important things that you have to remember from this article point of view. And now let us move on and let us see one more important article. So it is from state of Telangana, and especially Telangana state released notification for this that is from group 1. So from this point of view, this article is very important, and this article you can connect with history. Okay, so here for UPSC also, so this article is very important because we are talking about Chalukyas of Badami. So here title says discovery of temples in Telangana shows spread of Chalukya reign. Okay, discovery of temples in Telangana shows spread of Chalukya reign. So this article, as I said, which is very important from GS1 under history point of view. So now let us see this topic in detail. Okay, so if you say context, it says that the distance between Mundi Manikyam in Telangana and Badam in Karnataka is very long, that is around 500 kilometers. But we came up with a recent discovery which showed that the village of this Mundi Manikyam, which is located on the banks of this river Krishna, it was part of this Chalukyas kingdom which ruled by Badami Chalukyas. So if you see some details, it says that long after the demise of kingdom that ruled the present day Karnataka and as well as Andhra Pradesh, so the area continued to have a thriving community that prayed to Hindu gods, that is Vishnu and as well as Shiva. And here archaeologists they also discovered 2 temples on the river bank and 5 within the village. So they were also discovered the inscription that has been dated to the rulers of Chalukyas of Badami. So if we're talking about period in which these people they ruled, like 543 AD to 755 AD. So capital here is Badami. Badami is also called as Vatapi. So here in this region, so this Chalukyas they set up their kingdom in western Deccan region. And capital is Vatapi. And they were involved in political struggle with Pallavas. So they came with always confrontation with the Pallavas that continued up and downs over 100 years. And here you have to know about the temple architecture of this Chalukyas of Badami. So they followed this style of Vesara. So if you're talking about this temple architecture, so we have 3 types. The first one is Nagara style. Second one is Dravidian style. And third one is Vesara style. So here we have this Vesara style of temple architecture. And this style of temple architecture which is a mixture of Nagar and Dravida styles. So this style which originated and flourished at Aihole, Badami and as well as Pattadikal. So important sites include Pattadikal, Aihole and as well as Badami. So if we're talking about cave temples, so cave temples they were also came up by the Chalukyas of Badami. So these cave cut temple or these cave temples they are found in Ajanta, Ellora, Nasik, and even they are made up of only one stone, that is monolithic, and they also excavated in the slopy hills. So they are Brahminical deduction and Buddhist in style and technique. So if talking about the society and religion under this Chalukyas of Badami, so the period was an era of revival of Hindu culture and spirituality. So especially they propagated like Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shakti cult and as well as Jainism. So everything. And even Huyan Sang he mentioned about the decline of Buddhism in the western Deccan region. But Jainism was steadily on the path of progress. Okay, so that is the thing which mainly said. And please let me know some important rulers of this Chalukyas of Badami. For example, here we have Pulakesin 1, Pulakesin 2, Kriti Varman. Okay, so please tell me other important names of this Chalukyas of Badami rulers. And now let us move back to the paper. Yes, in this editorial session we have some articles. The first one it is about Palestinian statehood and we discussed this topic number of times. And next topic is all at the high table. So this is article talking about Raisina dialogue. So here you have to know some dimensions. For example, you have to know like what is this Raisina dialogue and when we came up with this, whether we are coming up with this Raisina dialogue annually or biannually. And you have to know like, so what is the concept regarding this Raisina dialogue. So now let us try to see this topic in detail. Okay, so here if you see, this topic is talking about Raisina dialogue, yes or no? Yes, right? So recently here 9th edition of this Raisina dialogue 2024, it was inaugurated by our Prime Minister Modi ji. And even Greek Prime Minister also he called, India called him as a chief guest. And this Raisina dialogue, it is an annual conference. So it takes place in New Delhi and as well as it is also attended by the people from political, business and as well as media and even civil society backgrounds. So all these people they will be joining this Raisina dialogue and it is an annual conference. So this dialogue is structured as a multi-stakeholder cross-section discussion involving this hands of states, cabinet ministers and local government officials. So they are joined by the thought leaders from this private sector, media and as well as academia. And next important one here is, if you see the 6 thematic pillars of this Raisina Dialogue 2024, during this Raisina Dialogue, decision makers and thought leaders of the world, they will engage each other across conversations in various formats. And normally we have 6 thematic pillars in this Raisina Dialogue. So first and the foremost thing here is tech frontiers. So we have regulations, we have realities, and apart from that we have peace with the planet, like invest and innovate, and we are focusing on war and peace, and we are focusing on decolonizing this multilateralism, and as well as the post 2030 agenda, and as well as defending democracy. So these were the 6 thematic pillars of this Raisina Dialogue. So this Raisina Dialogue 2024, it is a flagship conference on geopolitics and as well as geoeconomics, and also this they are committed to addressing some important challenges to facing by this international community. And if you're talking about this Raisina Dialogue, which is significance, what is significance for India? So Dialogue is the country's flagship conference on geopolitics and as well as geoeconomics. So here this has also even contributed to the most of the challenging issues that are faced by this international community. For example, this Raisina Dialogue, which is providing a platform, okay, so it is an engagement platform, like it will be providing opportunity for India to engage with other key regional and as well as global resources or global issues. And next one is, it's also helpful for international program, like when you are going for this reflection of this India's aspiration to leading voice and contributor, okay, of this international arena. And next one here is world order commitment. Demonstrates India's commitment to this rule-based and inclusive and as well as cooperative world order. And if you're talking about next one, that is showing arguments or achievements. So here it also highlights India's achievements and potentials in various fields, and even we are focusing on encouraging of image or enhancing of image. So enhancing image, India's image is a responsible and resilient global partner. And if you're talking about what are the achievements of this Raisina Dialogue, the first one is, it is one of the premier conference status. Okay, it is recognized as one of the leading conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, and even it is providing a dialogue and debate, especially we are going to have the meaningful dialogues and diverse influential speakers and as well as participants. And this one is, it is also helpful for fostering of or increasing of cooperation between this, and even there will be like a platform for showcasing of India, and it is also providing a network of partnership which establishes the partnership with various institutions and organizations. So this is about this topic, and now let us move on to next topic again from this editorial page. So it is about chilling effect of the freedom to love. Okay, it is talking about chilling effect on freedom to love. So actually this article is talking about UCC, Uniform Civil Code. Okay, so it is talking about Uniform Civil Code. So we're talking about the central theme of this article, which says that by penalizing consensual relations and violating individual autonomy, here Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code Bill erodes constitutional rights, like it is eroding liberty, it is eroding privacy, and also it is eroding equality. So here we are going to see like what is this Uttarakhand's Uniform Civil Code, and you have to see like what are the important provisions of this Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code, and you have to know what is the concept of this Uniform Civil Code. Okay, so all these are very important things that you have to know regarding this article. So why it is in news? Yes, obviously. So recently here Uttarakhand Assembly passed this Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code Bill 2024, and is the first state in independent India which passed this bill so far. So already Goa had this, but it came up with this UCC before independence. Okay, so after independence, Uttarakhand, it is the first state, right? So Uttarakhand Assembly passed Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code Bill 2024, becoming the first state in independent India to implement this Uniform Civil Code. So this bill, which also came with some proposals like there will be common rules for marriages, divorce, inheritance of property, and also live-in relationships or all residents, but it is not touching the scheduled tribes. Okay, so it is not touching the scheduled tribes, but for other general people, so there will be the common rules for this marriage, divorce, inheritance of property, and as well as live-in relationship, etc. So the legislation of Uttarakhand, which came up, which is using this Article 44 of Indian Constitution. So this Article 44 talks about DPSP, that is Directive Principles of State Policy. So this DPSP, which is present in Part 4 of our Indian Constitution. Okay, so this Article 44, which directs the states to endeavor and to secure for citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of our country. So if we are talking about this UCC, that is Uniform Civil Code, it refers to a common law. So it refers to a common law. It is talking about the personal matters, for example, marriage, inheritance, divorce, adoption, etc. And it will be applicable to all religious communities, either it may be Islam or Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, etc. So what are the important aims of this UCC? So first and the foremost thing here is we have to replace the different personal laws that currently present in India, which are governing the personal matters, which are belonging to the different religious communities. Like Hindus, we have Hindu code. For Islam, they have this code. Okay, like that. So even this UCC, which is also promoting social harmony and gender equality and as well as secularism by eliminating disparate legal systems. And this code, which is also very helpful to seek or to ensure uniformity of laws not only between the communities but also within the communities. So now let us see some key highlights of this Uttarakhand Civil Code, Uniform Civil Code Bill. So here what is uniform? That is across all religions we are following the thing, and even it includes adoption right, and the legal age of marriage for men is 21 and women is 18 according to this, and even there is equal inheritance right for both men and women. So that is the meaning of uniform here. So what is the thing which is unique in this Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code? That is all live-in relationship, they ought to be registered within a month. Okay, so live-in relationship also to be registered, and all children born to this live-in relationship will be considered as legitimate, and they will receive legal inheritance rights also. So even in the live-in relationship also, if they are having children, yes, they will be having legal inheritance right. And who is excluded? So scheduled tribes, they are being excluded under this bill. And what is banned here? So marriage and divorce practices that comes under Muslim protection law, such as halala and as well as either triple talaq, they had been banned. And even polygamy, that is marrying 2 or more people, so that is also banned, and even child marriages are also banned. So this infographic which gives you detailed insights regarding so what exactly is this Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code it is about. So now let us see one by one in detail. So first one is marriage. So this bill which mandates compulsory registration of marriages within 60 days. So after marriage within 60 days they have to marry. That means within 2 months of time. Okay, so even if you're marrying inside or if you're marrying outside, you have to go for registration. And if you're not going for registration, that is non-registration of marriages, won't invalidate it. So there will be penalty of 10,000 rupees. And if you are providing false information, then you will be getting fine of 25,000 rupees. And along with that, you will be having additional bonus of 3 months of imprisonment. And no marriage can be dissolved without a court order, otherwise it would attract imprisonment of up to 3 years. Okay, and this one is if you're talking about live-in relationship. So all live-in relationships or any live-in relationship within the state's jurisdiction, so they have to be registered compulsorily. regardless of whether the concerned man and woman are residents of Uttarakhand or not. Yes, they have to focus on this registration. They have to go for registration. It is 100% compulsory. And this one here is, it is also prohibiting bigamy or polygamy. That means the section 4 of this bill states that none of the parties to a new marriage should have another spouse. Okay, there should be no bigamy or polygamy. And if you're talking about inheritance, so this bill will ensure equal property rights for sons, daughters, okay, and even legitimate children. That means children who born for this live-in relationship, so they are also having these rights. And next one here is civil criminalization of some marriage practices. For example, nikah, halala, iddat and triple talaq, they had been banned and they are present in this Muslims code. And if we are talking about what are the positive implications of this uniform civil code, so we can ensure gender equality. So this bill, it could promote gender equality. It will eliminate the discriminatory practices which are existed in some personal laws, and specifically regarding inheritance and maintenance. So it could also address the discriminatory customs like polygamy. And this one is, it also focusing on simplification of our legal system. Like we are going for streamlining of this personal laws across the different communities, so that the legal system and many more efficient and accessible. Those things that should be also be thing that you have to see. And next one here is national integration. So it could also lead to the sense of national unity by removing distinctions. So we are removing the distinctions based on the religious personal laws. We are having a uniform law, right? And next one is, what are the negative impacts of this UCC? So first one is, there will be impact on the minority communities. Like there is a fear that this bill might disproportionately affect this minority communities, and even ST, they were excluded. Okay, and even there are some questions regarding the preservation of culture, customs and as well as religious freedom. So talking about this constitutional challenges, some legal experts, they argue that the bill might violate certain constitutional rights, particularly those related to religious freedom and equality before law, and this could lead to legal challenges and as well as even delays in implementation. So there will be the delays in implementation, and also we are going to have some legal challenges. So this is second important negative thing. And next one is social tensions. So whenever you are implementing the bill, that could potentially have the chance of escalating the social tensions between the different communities. Okay, so these are some important concerns that we have. And I want to give you today's mains question based on this topic. So if you want, you can take a screenshot or you can make a note of the question, that is, discuss the possible factors that inhibit India from enacting a uniform civil code for its citizens as provided in DPSP. Okay, so this question already appeared in 2015. So please write answer for this question and send back your question for evaluation. So evaluation that can be done, you can write answer in the comment box. Okay, so I am finding like only one person, Veermani from Tamil Nadu, he is writing the answers. So what about the others? So try to do answer writing, it will be very, very helpful. Clear? So now let us move back to our Hindu page. So here in this opinion page, you have an article regarding education sector. So this article is talking about interim budget has slashed allocation to this higher education by 16.8%. Okay, so whenever there is decreasing of funding from the government to this education institutions, then that will be exacerbating economical burden on both education institutions and as well as students. Okay, so now let us see some important dimensions. So whenever you are talking about higher education, you have to know what is the meaning of this higher education. You have to know about some examples, and you have to see like what is the percentage of GDP contribution to education. And this article says that in this interim budget there is decreased allocation for this higher education, and you have to see what are the challenges. You have to see like what are the challenges faced by this higher education. and you have to see what is a way forward. And even you can see like what are the steps taken by the government to promote higher education in India. Okay, so these are some important dimensions that you have to see from this article point of view. And if you move on here, you can see two important articles that is about why were surrogacy rules modified. So even I discussed this topic in our studies class in detail, right? So I hope you can see the article clearly now. So just go through the gist part. So it is more than enough because I gave you the detailed explanation in our earlier classes. So here what happened, Union government on February 21st modified surrogacy regulation rules of 2022 to permit married couples to use donor eggs or donor sperm for surrogacy. And this move, it is very important and provide a big relief for those who with medical complications. Right, if men and women they are not able to conceive and if they are not able to reproduce, means they will be going to this fertility centers and they will be going the treatments like IUI, IVF, etc. So there they will be collecting this human eggs and as well as sperms. So if they are having any medical complications, then they can't use, if they can't use the eggs and sperms, so they will be going for getting the donor sperms and as well as eggs. Okay. So here Union government said that you can use the donor eggs or donor sperms. So last year in 2023 amendment was challenged before Supreme Court by a woman who is suffering from Mayer-Rokitansky-Hauser syndrome. So I don't know about this syndrome clearly, but the name it is given, and it is the first time I am listening to this syndrome, that is Mayer-Rokitansky-Hauser syndrome. So I will be studying about this today, and tomorrow I will let you know about what is the syndrome exactly. Okay, so the medical board records reflected that she was unable to produce her eggs due to absent ovaries or a uterus. So that woman, she is not having either uterus or ovaries. So because of this, she can't produce her own eggs. So here the regulatory change is however not applicable for the single woman, as it specifies that widow or divorced undergoing surrogacy must use self eggs and as well as donor sperms. So this is the thing which mainly said. And if you move on to the next article in this text and context, the title says that can this IMEC address this Red Sea crisis? So here you have to focus on this Red Sea. Okay, so here you have to focus on this Red Sea. It is very important. So actually what happened, so in Red Sea the crisis is going on. So these Houthis who are Yemen based, they started attacking these ships or the merchant vessels which are moving in this Red Sea, and it is affecting this international trade. And even what happened, there is increased flight cost whenever we are going for this other routes, and even there are delays are happening in this transportation. Okay, so because of this we are thinking that we can go for alternate routes for this global trade. So why this Red Sea is important? It is very important. So Red Sea, it is having a very strategic importance because of this location, and the global trade to this Bab el Mandab Strait, which lies between Yemen and Djibouti, and it's one of the world's busiest cargo and oil transit points with almost 12% of international merchandise trade which goes through it. Okay, so whenever there is any conflict in this Red Sea, that is leading to the issues of containers and oil carriers. So they had been forced to reroute the ships from this Cape of Good Hope. Okay, so this is because of this. Here what happened, the freight cost is increasing, transportation cost is increasing, so delay in the voyage. Okay, so all these are some challenges that we are seeing. Okay, so what is this IMEC? That is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, and actually it was announced during this G20 summit of 2023, and it is another alternative which is not receiving much attention. Okay, so here you have to know about what is this IMEC. So Red Sea, which is having its own strategic importance and is very important, and it is playing a very key role in this global trade because it is having this Bab el Mandab Strait, and it lies between Yemen and Djibouti. So India's trade with Europe and North African countries, they flows through this Red Sea only, and is around 24% of exports and 14% of imports are going through this. And this IMEC, which is announced in this G20 summit in 2023, which is estimated to cut the journey time from India to Europe by 40%, and even it will be helpful for slash transit cost by 30%. So this is about this topic. Yes, and now let us move on to this news page. So in this page I found nothing much important, and you can directly move on to this science page here at last. Okay, so this topic is talking about Gaganyaan. ISRO CE-20 engine already has a notable legacy. So already we discussed about what is this ISRO CE, that is cryogenic engine, right? So now let us see this facts which are given here. So just let us have a look over the gist. So this cryogenic engine 220 powers LVM, that is launch vehicle mission 3 in the third stage, and makes possible for this launch to lift up to 8 tons to low Earth orbit, and even it makes it a vehicle of choice for Gaganyaan mission. So for this Gaganyaan mission we are using this launch vehicle, and we are using the CE engine. So rockets that carry humans to space require human rating. So this entails testing particular components repeatedly to ensure failures happen at less than the particular rate. So if you're going for testing again and again, so we will be knowing like whether it is functioning well or not, because it is a human mission. We are sending astronauts into space, so that we should be very much careful, and there should be the minimal rate, okay, minimum rate of failures. So ISRO said that 4 CE-20 engines had been hot fire tested for cumulative seconds, that is 8.810 seconds, against a minimum human rating qualification is requirement here is 6350 seconds. Okay, so these are some important things which are given in this article. Okay, so that's it. So these are the very important articles that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I am concluding. So you can get the notes of this class in the Telegram channel. The link is given in description box. So do join the Telegram channel, and don't forget to subscribe to this Rathods IAS Academy. And in this Rathods IAS Academy, we are providing foundational course for 2025 and 2026 at a very affordable price. It will be around 15,000 to 20,000 rupees. It includes A to Z, what is required for clearing of your prelims, mains, everything is provided here. And if you clear mains, you will be also having interview guidance. So everything is included in this course, and you will be thinking like, so price is less, so what they will be going to teach. So we are not at all compromising on the quality. So quality is not at all compromised, and each and every single subtopic along with the prelims questions, mains questions will be discussed here. Okay. Don't worry about the content. So try to come and join this course. So if you have any queries, you can call me on this number 8074765513. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we are going to meet in the next session tomorrow. Until then, stay tuned to Rathods IAS.